Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fit Down Football Podcast. I am your host, Jaden, and here today we're going to be talking about one of America's most despised NFL teams. That is the Dallas Cowboys. They think they are America's team. They think they are beloved. But outside of Dallas, Texas, that's not really the case, and maybe some other states around, the country just dispersed. But mostly everybody gangs up on the Cowboys, right? Rightfully so. But today's video is going to be focusing on the Cowboys and the question of will they ever get it right? Can this team win a playoff game for once in the last 30 years? Can they get back to an NFC Championship game? Let alone can they get back to a Super Bowl? Last time they did it, Troy Aikman was a quarterback, Emmitt Smith was a running back, Michael Irvin receiver. A lot has changed since then. So that's going to be the topic of today's video. We'll talk about that. And some also another free agent visit for the New England Patriots. That'll be interesting. So we'll get into that as well a little bit later in today's episode of the podcast. But thank you guys for coming in, tuned into the show. We appreciate it, the support, and our subscribers are growing as well. So please help us with that and subscribe to the show and tune in for great football content. Like I said, we're trying to get you guys some more great stuff here in the dog days of the summer and the sports season. Training camp is coming up. We'll have some training camp previews within the next couple of weeks. Also, going to be covering that. And then the season starts in August. Well, the real season starts in September. But we'll have the preseason and that kind of stuff. Hall of Fame games. So a lot can be coming up. Within the next 4 weeks or so. That I'm looking forward to. So we'll definitely get into that. But to start off, let's begin. So again, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys here. Now, this is a team. They won 12 games last year, with 12-5, of course. And they went to the divisional round, lost to the 49ers once again, like they did last year in 2022. In 2021. In the 2021 season, they lost to San Francisco at home. Now they go to the 49ers. They lose in the playoffs this past season, beat the Bucs at their place. But overall, just very disappointing last couple of seasons there for the Dallas Cowboys. And my question is just, will they ever get it right? Can they get it right? It's a lot to dive into. But the first thing is that Dak Prescott, if you guys know me, you know my podcast, and you've been listening to this podcast or watching it for the last year or so, I'm not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I'm not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I think he's a solid quarterback in this league. I think he can be good at times, but he's just not the guy to win you a Super Bowl. I don't think he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's getting paid like he is, and he shouldn't be. But that's just Jerry Jones for you in Jerry's world, and Dallas, that's just how they are. But me personally, I don't think that Prescott is going to win the Cowboys Super Bowl. I don't think he's that guy. I don't think he can be that guy. Because for one thing, he has too many turnovers. He turns the ball over a lot. He does not show up in the biggest games when they need him to show up. And in today's league, you have to have a quarterback that's going to show up in the biggest moments when you need him the most. To get that game-winning drive, to go down and kick a field goal to win a game or to score a touchdown, whatever the case might be. You need that guy that you can rely on to say, hey, you know what? The offense is in your hands. We got 2 minutes. Let's go win this football game. I trust you. You're my quarterback. To me, Dak is not that guy. Like I said, the turnovers were a big issue, for the Cowboys. Now, respectively, they ranked near the lower tier as turnovers as a whole for a team, oddly enough. But Dak himself tied with Davis Mills for the league in interceptions with 15 last year. And he only played 12 games. He got injured, right? So he played 12 games, and he had throw 15 interceptions. That's a big issue. And some of these you could say, and the thing with interceptions is like, it's not always the quarterback's fault, and then you got tip balls, and you got some guys not running the right routes, you got miscommunications, things like that. Sometimes you slip where, there's a bunch of reasons and in some cases excuses you can make. But for the most part, the quarterback is the one who throws the picks. He throws the football, whether it's a catch, a catch, a pass that is caught, or it's an interception, or it's a incompletion. It all goes on to the quarterback's stat sheet. And for Dak Prescott, he threw 15 picks. And I'm watching him last year. Like, a lot of those were very bad decisions on his part. Particularly in the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he just completely just made a wrong read and threw a pick to, I believe it was Rayshon Jenkins. He made a great play on that ball too, but still, and that actually cost the Cowboys that game. They lost against the Jaguars that game, and that cost them the game. So it's things like that, if I'm a coach, I can't, have my quarterback throwing game losing interceptions like that. I can't have him making turnovers, costing us possessions, when we could be running out the clock and we could be chewing up the time and, just dragging out our possessions, getting our defensive quality rest that they need so they can perform at the highest quality level that they can perform at. If my quarterback can't do that and he can't, run an offense efficiently the way, on a consistent basis, week in and week out, without turning the football over, then that can't be my starting quarterback if it's me. I played football when I was 5 years old all the way up until senior year of high school, and I played with quarterbacks who were good, quarterbacks, who didn't turn the football over, and I played with quarterbacks who did turn the football over, and I can say from experience, turnovers lose you football games. They do. It may not lose you the game right after that play, but they can lose you the game. They do lose you the game. That's why, like, the biggest things, I think for me, especially that I was taught and coached growing up, in the game is like, if you want to win games, football games, you can't turn the football over, you can't commit stupid penalties, and you can't give up big plays for touchdowns, right? You can't, those three things right there, if you commit any one of those things, especially all three, you're going to lose. And so that's the thing for me. And with the Cowboys, they broke the first rule, turning the football over. They did that a lot. Dak Prescott specifically did that a lot. So I just can't, to me, Dak just isn't that guy. I just don't think he's the guy to lead this team to the promised land. But the Cowboys think he is. Jerry Jones thinks he is. Mike McCarthy thinks he is. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll say this: the team is very talented. They've got their, I can't sit here and talk bad about the Cowboys. As far as their production that their players give, as far as as a collective, week in, week out. I mean, because they've got some very skilled and gifted players on that team. I mean, offensively, the offensive line, of course, we know how good. Except Tyron Smith is only played. He's played sparingly the last couple of years due to injuries, and he'll be 33 this year. Not ideal. But hey, Zach Martin, another one of those guys. A news report came out on him that he may not be even reporting to training camp. Until he, because he feels like he's not being paid top dollar as one of the best offensive, if not the best offensive guards in the league. So we'll keep an eye on that story there. But and then Tony Pollard leading the way out the backfield. Zeke left. They cut him. I mean, he was averaging less than 3 yards a carry in 2022. Not good for a starting running back in the NFL. He had 12 rushing touchdowns, but again, just the lack of the burst, that has dissipated throughout his career there in Dallas. And it was time to get rid of him. And they did it. And now Tony Pollard is the lead back. He signed a franchise tag. They didn't give him a deal yet, so. That was interestingly, odd. I mean, I would expect at least something like around 3-year, $30-something million range. I would have been happy with that as far as, giving Tony that deal. But like I discussed in my other video the other day, running backs just aren't valued as much as they should be. So that's just what it is. Even if they're, if they win, even when they win you games, they're not as important until they, they are important. It's right. So it's like, that's the case with that. But if you want to know more about that and, check out my opinions on it, you can look at our previous video talking about that. I'll put the link in the description. Yeah, I just don't. And defensively, we all know the defense is really good. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, you go down the line, they've got a great Trayvon Diggs in the secondary. He's improved. He improved his tackling as well in 2022 compared to his first couple of years in the NFL. And then also, Leighton Vander Esch in the middle. So the Cowboys have, and they're led by Dan Quinn as their defense coordinator, and he is a good defensive coordinator, just not a good head coach. Speaking from experienced Falcons fan here. Anybody forgot? But I mean, I honestly do think that this team has so much potential. They have the talent. They have the players, the coaching. It's just they got to go get it done. They have got to get it done. Can they just get it right for 1 year, for one season? Can they go out and actually prove their worth? Prove that these guys that are making top dollar on this team, that they're worth that money, and prove that they are America's team. Can they go out there and prove it this year? Can they finally get it right? That's my question for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they can. I don't think they will. As long as Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback, I don't believe that they will. It's just a person. And again, I love Dak. He's a great guy, talented player, but he just is not the starting. He's not a franchise quarterback. In this NFL, you have to have those guys that just go above and beyond to get you those wins. If you want to win in this league, you have to have a quarterback. You have to have a guy that's going to go out there and just put on a show that can lead your team when you need him the most to a victory. Look at Patrick Mahomes, look at Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson when he's healthy. All these guys, they go out there. Tom Brady for his whole career. They go out there and they get the wins when they need their teams need it the most, and that Prescott has not been able to do that. And that's really the big thing for me. And it sucks, especially for other guys on the team like your stars like Micah Parsons and guys like that, because he's so talented. He's a very good player, but when his offense is consistently not getting the production that they should be, and their defense is having to go back out on the field over and over again, that can be annoying and tiring, especially when you work your butt off, getting after the quarterback and doing what you do, that Micah does. I think Micah Parsons had 90 pressures last year. He had 90 pressures. Starting, starting as a defense in pass rushing for the Dallas Cowboys, which is a lot. That's very good. More than Nick Bosa had as well. He's a very formidable player, and other teams have to account for him, right? DeMarcus Lawrence as well. He's not the sack machine he used to be, but he's still solid. And they got guys like Dorrance Armstrong as well, and so the Cowboys have depth. They have talent. It's just a matter of, can they just finally put it together? Can they put out a consistent season and go win in the playoffs when they need to win the games they need to win the most? Can they get past the second round? Can they get past the divisional round for the first time in over 30 years? That is my question for you, Dak Prescott, and for your team, the Dallas Cowboys. Can you guys get it done this year? Will you guys finally get it right for the sake of all your fans and everybody in Dallas, Texas, and other Cowboys fans scattered all around here, but that's my question for them. And other news, though, the Patriots will be hosting running back Leonard Fournette for a visit. They had him in before last offseason. The deal didn't happen, obviously, but so they're hosting him for a visit, for a workout. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, Leonard Fournette, he's still a solid back. I mean, he's a good backup to have. Guy that can come in and get you 4 or 5 tough yards when you need it, goal line situation type deal. So interesting there for the Patriots. We'll see what happens there, but that's just really all the news I have today for you guys here on Jace with Down. So thank you for tuning in to the podcast today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check us out. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Dallas Cowboys can finally get it right this year? Can they go and just win a playoff game, win a divisional game, go to the conference championship, go to the Super Bowl? Can they do it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you guys again. Have a good day.